Now, I spent pretty much all day yesterday playing Star Wars Squadrons, playing everything from the story mode, which I haven't quite finished yet, to playing online with and against random people in dogfight mode, and also playing with 4 friends against AI opponents in those sort of makeshift scenarios where you usually have to take out an enemy capital ship or something. And my overall thoughts or opinion on it right now, or at first here, is that it's a really fun, good $40 game that I wish would have been an amazing $60 game. Okay, so what exactly do I mean by that? Well, going into it with that $40 price tag, we pretty much knew this wasn't going to be a robust $60 game, or maybe I should say as robust as a $60 game should be, because certainly with the first Battlefront game from EA a few years back now, we didn't get $60 worth at launch even though we paid that much, and then we even had to pay extra money with the DLC packs, but whatever, let's for now let that go and focus on Squadrons. And again, after playing the game for a solid day, I'll say that it is a lot of fun to play, especially with a group of friends, and if you can get a full squad of 5 of them, that is an absolute blast, and big thanks to some of you on my Discord server for getting together last night to play. However here, though what you get is a ton of fun, considering EA has already said that they have no plans to add anything to the game, that they basically wanted you to pay your $40 and get the whole thing up front, and that be that, which I'm not complaining about. I appreciate their candor on the matter and being upfront about it, that they didn't forget to mention until after release that there wouldn't be anything new added to the game, as I also appreciate them keeping any and all microtransactions out of it. So all in all, it is nice to just pay a flat price for a game and get the game you expected. Anyway, though that is great and all, and the game is a lot of fun to play, as far as I can tell so far, there isn't a ton of depth overall, either when it comes to what you can do in terms of gameplay or types of matches, or when it comes to collecting different customization looks or different upgrades. Which means I don't know that this is a game I'll be playing for years to come, or even months, and maybe not even for all too many weeks. Though again, with that cheaper price tag, I wasn't expecting this huge game with tons and tons of options or ways to play or modes, and or tons and tons of customizations and upgrades. And I think I'm very much going to enjoy however much time I do put into this game before I move on. I'll probably feel like I got my $40 worth, but that said, I would have loved to have seen what the game would have or could have been if it was a full $60 title, if maybe there were more ships and more game modes and so on. And don't get me wrong, even though there are only 8 playable ships, they all have a unique feel and fill different roles in combat. Furthermore, there is complexity, almost too much so, when it comes to flying these ships or operating them. It's not just a matter of mindlessly aiming at the enemy, firing, and winning. You could do things like focus your shields to the front or rear, or distribute your ship's power in different ways or to different systems. Putting more to the weapons will, of course, increase the damage you do, but at the expense of your defense, or you can put it all into the shields, but make yourself less mobile, and so on. And though I certainly haven't mastered all this quite yet, and maybe never will, doing so or changing up your configuration or your tactics does make a huge difference, and will likely separate the winners from the losers in any given match. For example, your ship flies noticeably different when you put all your power into your shields than it does when you put it all into your engines or your weapons. And once you start to get used to that, it does add a whole other dimension or layer to combat or layer of complexity, which I do appreciate. It's not just that simple game of point and click. This is certainly light years better than space combat in the recent Battlefront 2. In fact, this is probably what space combat should have been in that game. However here, though all the ships do have a fairly unique feel and do fill somewhat different roles in a battle, they're not that different. And going along with wishing this was an amazing $60 game, I wish we could get some truly different types of ships, or hero ships maybe, like the Millennium Falcon for example, or that not every battle or objective was set in space. Because though they all do look great and different, the graphics here are fantastic, essentially every map is just a different type of area with obstacles to deal with while fighting or trying to destroy enemy ships. And I'd love it if we could get some battles or maps that took place over the surface of a planet that could then also involve or include ground vehicles or individual units to attack. Not that you could necessarily play them, because at that point this would just be Battlefront, but give us different types of objectives and different things to shoot at, though I will say that there are many different types of Rebellion, or New Republic I guess they are, and Imperial ships in the game for you to attack or defend. Again, this game does look fantastic for what it is. Still, I do wish we could get some battles in atmosphere or above the surface of planets, and even though we've had them so many times before, I'd even take familiar missions or objectives or settings like the Battle of Hoth or the attacks on the Death Stars. And as someone who loves couch co-op or plays games mainly to play with my friends. I'd love it if we could get multiple people in ships, like multiple people filling different roles in a U-Wing, for example, or maybe in the Falcon. Or if you and a friend could fly in a snowspeeder on Hoth trying to work together to harpoon and take down some Imperial walkers. I just think there are so many different cool and unique things or experiences that could be done with a game that focuses on aerial combat in Star Wars, but instead we get one that really only focuses on one sort of style of combat, which is this squad versus squad 5-on-5 scenario. And again, it does do that extremely well. I do find the game a ton of fun to play, though for how long that'll last is the real question. And I do feel like a lot more could have been done here, even at the $40 price tag, including different eras to play in, like ships from the Clone Wars or the prequel era, for example. Anyway, here, after seeing what they can do with aerial combat, albeit in a limited setting, it really makes me hope we'll someday get the ultimate Star Wars combat game that combines everything into one single game and has many different ways to play, that essentially takes what Battlefront 2 became at the end of its run and merges it with what Squadrons is now, or could be if expanded upon. And I know I'm a dreamer here because I can't see EA dropping the money and resources into a game like that and only charging $60 for it. Though if it was truly all-encompassing and saw frequent updates, I might even be willing to pay a small, maybe $5 a month subscription fee, though I might be kind of alone on that one. I mean, as someone who's played a lot of MMOs in his life and currently plays World of Warcraft, subscription fees are not something that bugs me too much, as long as the game is good and can hold my interest for months or even years. So anyway here, before talking very briefly about the game's story, which again I'm not quite done with, I will reiterate or summarize that I do think Squadrons is a very good game for what it is, and that at $40 we, I guess, should expect to get 2/3 of a $60 title, and I think we get that or very close to it. I think again it's good for what it is, and it's a lot of fun to play, especially if you can get a group of friends together to fill up a whole squad. Though all that said, I don't know how long it'll be till doing virtually the same type of battle over and over again in the same handful of ships. I don't know how long it'll be till that gets kind of old. And speaking of virtual, I do hear this game really shines in virtual reality, which I could certainly see, but I have yet to play it that way, so I don't have any comments on that. Now, as far as that in-game story, well, I'd loosely call it a story. It's about on par with every other story we've ever gotten in a space shooter Star Wars type game. Like, here's your mission, and here's why you're doing it, and then it'll link to the next mission you have to do. And a lot of the character interactions you do have just come in the hangar bay, where you can talk to them if you want to. And as far as I've seen, there are no real cutscenes or anything. I mean, yeah, it is cool to see familiar characters like Wedge or Hera from Rebels, or even Admiral Sloane, who has become a big character mainly in the books. This does fit in nicely with a lot of the other post-Return of the Jedi stories we've gotten thus far, which is cool and all, till you remember none of this rebuilding the New Republic stuff matters, because it'll apparently all get entirely obliterated in one shot from Starkiller Base in The Force Awakens. And so when you remember that, it's kind of depressing in this sad sort of way to see all these beloved characters fighting so hard to reestablish the Republic or to build the New Republic, knowing it'll ultimately be for naught, that they're going to have to do it all over again after what the First Order does in the sequel trilogy. But disregarding that, sure, the story's fine for what it is, which again is sort of my thoughts or feelings about the game as a whole. It is great for what it is. It is a lot of fun to play, and it gets what it focused on right, but again, it doesn't focus on much, so it better get it right. And if you're on the fence about spending $40 for this game, something tells me when the holiday shopping season really kicks up, you'll see it for $5 to $10 off. So if you want to try it out but are hesitant about paying that full price tag, I'd say wait a couple months, because it's not amazing, but it's certainly worth playing. Well, that's all I've got for you this time. Now it's your turn to tell me if you've played Squadrons and what you think of it so far, or if maybe you'll wait until it comes down in price, or if you just have no interest in it whatsoever. So do leave a comment below and let's talk some Star Wars. And until next time, thanks for watching.